All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. 12 games, Gyiraszin. That's why I had to stutter for a sec. Tuesdays have been bigger as of late. I feel like it used to be Wednesdays, but they've done a lot more split slates, early slates Wednesdays. So Tuesday, pretty big. Yesterday was a pretty small slate. Pitching, I think there's a couple clear guys, but in price tiers, I think you can make a case for multiple. Bats, we talked a little pre-show. I don't think I've ever seen bats so spread out. Man, I still like the 5-man stacking. It's just, good luck trying to find which team goes off for a crooked number tonight. But I'm excited, ready to talk some ball with you. How you doing today on this Tuesday afternoon?
Man, can't complain. We got a big week coming up. We got some golf. I was diving into some of my golf stuff a little bit here earlier. And got to give a shout out to our boys who were in the live finals that squeaked it through. I think that's a couple rounds that they both had to make it through to get to that round 3, 2 rounds. Yeah, so – hey, man, we got what Tambo and Hoop. Let's go. We're in there. So, that's something too that here at SHIPIT Nation, we root everybody on. Hey, we're all one, man. Like when we get in these live finals, I know I was in the football DK one last year. I can't tell how many people send me a message, good luck and all that. Man, it makes you feel good. You got people supporting you and rooting for you. So
absolutely. But
man, hey, it's always good to see our boys in them live finals. But big golf week, man. I've been hearing a lot of stories about Pinehurst. I heard these greens are like freaking glass. Like they were saying like this guy literally barely hit a ball and supposedly it went like 60 feet. Wow. Like on the green. Like supposedly it's like super silly. But that's what the US Open's all about. I guess the fucking rough is eat your fucking knees. I guess it's really bad. So man, I'm looking forward. We got a big week here. Next week title. You know what they're telling us is supposed to be here in Michigan? 96 fucking degrees.
Don't leave your
that's
house.
Like, here we go, man. It's like, oh shit, here we go, title.
Don't leave your house. I'll be back in the Midwest pretty shortly too. I do not want to see 96. No thanks.
It's gonna be fucking terrible. But hey, that's when you sit in the house in the air conditioning and, look more at your DFS shit anyway, because it's too damn hot to be outside doing anything else. But
we're on the way.
Hey, big week coming up. Hey, I like this slate too. Like you mentioned, we got 12 games. It's weird. Like there's some clear-cut pitching at the top, and then there's some clear-cut pitching at the bottom. The middle is a bunch of kind of garbled up garbage that's really kind of risky. And then you get over to the offensive side, and then you're like, yeah, I could see that team. And you're like, yep, I like that team. And then you go down, yep, I like this one. You're like, oh, I like that one. And then by the time you're like 8 games in, you're like, do I like every fucking team today? Or what is this shit? Like you could literally make arguments for so many different of these teams. But again, it's that middle tier of pitching is all the guys that normally on a tougher slate, like we're picking these guys out. Like, there's a bunch of them in the middle that are like Kenta fucking Maeda, right? Like you're either Cy Young or you're literally rolling balls like kickball time. Like, I mean, it's like, it's what we got here today. But man, I think it's a pretty cool slate. I think offenses are going to be spread out. So, and we got pitching where if you want to load up on the big boys, we got a couple guys that we'll probably talk about here, that we can definitely look at in some pretty good matchups today that we like attacking. So, man, 12 games on a Tuesday. I think there's some pretty big tournaments out there here today too. So, ought to be money to be won here. So, hey, let's get us some extra shekels for some US Open money here. Let's get it moving here. Let's go.
Let's do it. Hoop, shout out to some extra shekels. 30K yesterday. Hoop took second in the Monster. Shout out to you. I didn't even say congrats to him. Was talking to him earlier. Just another day ending in Y for Hoopster. Second place. Awesome stuff there. Man, let's talk some baseball. First, though, I do want to say this. Can't miss it. Today, I think I saw it ends today. Don't quote me 100% on that. Hey, might as well use it today. But I think this promo code ends tomorrow. You hinted at it. Shout out Hoop. Shout out Tambo. I think it's like 88,000 those tickets are worth for golf. Win a double up, I think it is. Then a triple up. FGWC 15. Fantasy Golf World Championship 15. gets you 15% off any monthly or annual plans. Again, I think this ends tonight. NFL will be here before you know it. NBA playoffs, showdown still from Rio. Hopefully a couple more games and just 2 left. PGA going on, US Open, huge week. MMA going on this weekend, NHL playoffs, Stanley Cup, hopefully more than 2 games there as well. MLB, NASCAR, of course, FGWC 15 gets you 15% off. Again, all projections, ownership, core reports, slate plans, tools. Talking tools, we're going to look at this segue right here, Gyiraszin. We're going to talk tools. These are our pitcher rankings over here at SHIPIT Nation. I just want to show 3. Otherwise, paying subscribers, you get the rest of them. These 3 are the clear, top 3 pitchers. I have these 3 projected for over 3 points more than everybody else on the slate. Wheeler's been great this year. Skeens has been great. Skeens the highest K prop on the slate, 7.5 some juice on the under. Wheeler second half K prop. It's an okay matchup against Boston. Not the best. They're going to throw a handful of lefties at him. Obviously, Devers in there. Wheeler's been great this year, though. Then Brian Wu as well. He is the distant third if I had to pick between the 2 because of his pitch count. He does get the White Sox. But how I see it right now, I like Wheeler for 10-5. I think Skeens will be more popular because of the discount. I probably like Wheeler more, assuming that Wheeler is going to be less owned because of the price. So I like him, Skeens, then Wu if I'm ranking the top 3. However, multiple others, 8K and above. Break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, just like you mentioned, I think there's 3 clear-cut guys for me. I mean, you mentioned them right there at the top of our rankings. Couldn't have said it any better yourself there, Title. I mean, you knew that already, probably going in. I know you're smart, but either way, so I think these 3 are the top. Because I mean, dude, watching this Paul Skeens kid, like, dude, if you watch any baseball, it don't take you very long to figure out this kid is on a different planet than everybody else. This guy reminds me of Justin Verlander when he came up, like just fucking pure power, and his breaking pitches will just steer you in the dirt, man. This kid is special. This kid's good. It's fun to watch, man. I love watching this kid. But he gets the Cardinals. Cardinals have been hitting a little bit better here, but man, this 35% K rate, low walk rate. He's my favorite for the price. On DK, he's 9,400. He's $1,100 saving off of Wheeler. Now, I think these 2 are literally neck and neck as far as my 2 favorites. Just actually skill-wise, Wheeler's just been absolutely phenomenal so far. He gets Boston. I just don't like the park Wheeler's in. I mean, Fenway is kind of scary just being in Fenway within itself. But, yeah, I think, for me, Skeens, I mean, this guy's just been off the charts. I think Wu, for me, is another, my next guy, just because it's the White Sox. White Sox, a team we like to definitely attack here. But he's 8,900, a little bit of savings. I think my favorite combo today is Skeens and Wu. And I'd move on if you wanted to pay up for pitching today. I don't think I'd really want to really get up to Wheeler. But even though there's so many different bats, I think there's some cheap stacks you could look at today. So that's what I like about this slate. I mean, literally, I think today is a day you start with your bats. If you really get heavy on your bats, there's a couple guys, at the low end here that we'll talk about. But really, I think in the middle is some tough sailing today. But these 3 at the top for me, I really like. I'm not really interested in Blanco at his 9,700. I'm just not interested in there. Kikuchi, I'm not interested in there. I actually have more interest in the Brew Crew bats. Singer, no thank you. I'm anybody pitching against the Yankees is off the table for me from now on. It's just this rest of the season. Yankees they're there. I mean, they're not giving up any freaking they're not striking out, Title. Like last year they used to strike out, right? Soto and Verdugo don't strike out. Adding them 2 to the lineup, especially at the top. And their catchers aren't striking out. Last year, their catchers, were awful too. I mean, Trevino Wells, they're not striking out, man. So
Higashoka or whatever, he struck out.
Yeah. I mean, that guy was just a strikeout. What do they call it? A sombrero, 4Ks. But Stroman for me, he's just there's too many good options here today. I'm just not interested in Stroman in Kansas City. The hitting weather's good there. I like Kansas City more. Obviously, he's a hitting park, one of the top parks in baseball. But Cutter Crawford, no thanks. I don't want nothing to do with that. He's been struggling here in his last 5 or 6 starts. Hasn't been the same guy. I know we actually were on him here a few recently. And then you get to Luzardo. I mean, one of my favorite bats is Pete Alonso. on the whole slate. I'll tell you that right now. But other than Pete Alonso, I'm not too sure how much afraid I am of the rest of this team. This matchup here. So that one's like kind of a flip up for me. Alonso will be one of my favorite one-offs in the whole day today. But for me, Luzardo is just, I don't know, man. He's like Maeda. He's either Cy Young or he's just absolute shit. So I worry about that matchup there. But for me at the top titles of all the guys above 8K, there's only really 3 that I really like. And like I mentioned, Wheeler, Skeens, and Woo. If I had to rank them, I'd probably go Skeens, Wheeler, then Woo.
Yeah, great breakdown. The only things I really have to add before we go 8K and below, like I said, I prefer Wheeler because of the ownership discount I expect. You overspend a little bit, 1,100 more. But if it's like 40% Skeens to 30% Wheeler, I'll take spending up a little bit. There's always cheap ads you can make in a stack. If I like, Skeens would be 2, Woo would be 3. The only ones I would add, I agree with you, it's really weak above 8K. I think there's more viable pivots down below, but it would be the 2 guys that I feel like I always tout. Kikuchi, because he has some K upside against Milwaukee, and then it would be Luzardo against the Mets. Not the best K matchup, but 2 guys with pretty big arms. You look at K props, 5.5 for Kikuchi, -160 on the over. One of the biggest on the slate. He's a pivot right from the Skeens and Woo as well, right in between both of them. He projects a lot worse. However, on a ceiling game for Kikuchi, can easily match a normal game from guys like Skeens and stuff. So he'd be a pivot there. And then, Luzardo I'm kind of indifferent about. If you just go down a little bit, I guess this is a good segue. I think I might just rather take the shot with Drew Thorpe making his debut, just hoping Luzardo's not the best matchup against the Mets, whereas Thorpe against Seattle is a great matchup. There's just more unknowns. Maybe take a risk with him at 7-7. Tyler McGill, I definitely in a vacuum more. Rather pick on Miami than the Mets. So right there, 7-3. Luzardo will be probably lower owned than both. I'm not really sure. At the end of the day, I'm indifferent with Luzardo. He'd be in the pool. Going down below 8K, though, I mentioned Thorpe. McGill would be my favorite down here. And then there's Louis Varland. I'll say Louis Varland, Randy Vasquez, and Miles Mikolas. Mikolas is my least favorite of the 3. But I think ownership of those 3, he'll be the least as well. Dude he just throws strikes, not overpowering by any means. I want more upside. Louis Varland plays Colorado, so people are just naturally going to see 6K against Colorado. It's a 12-game slate. I don't know. I think there's enough other options. Double spend at pitching, go 1 mid-tier. You don't need to eat Varland chalk. I don't know. To be honest, I'd rather play one of Skeens, Wheeler, Woo than fade them, all 3 of them, and play a Varland team with somebody else is how I see it. Obviously, Colorado's bad, though. Varland's too cheap. Randy Vasquez, the last one, he gets Oakland. Playing Oakland's pretty good, 5.6K. He's a pivot off of Varland at what ownership? If he's half the ownership, I don't know, maybe. I'll throw it to you on that, I guess. Break down the 8K and below.
Yeah, I think 8K below's got some interesting options. You mentioned the rookie for the White Sox coming out here today. I think he's definitely interesting. Thorpe here against Seattle. Obviously, we've been chasing Seattle all year, a team we've been going after. So I don't mind him at all. 7,700. To be 7,700 already priced up like that, I think that's says, to what this kid's talent level could be. So definitely kind of like that. The other guy you mentioned is Varland, as you mentioned. I think he's going to be in my guess title. I think he's going to be below 8K. He's going to be the highest owned down here. I
agree.
Why? Because we used him last year. Some DFS guys are going to remember. He does have some decent strikeout stuff, but really, when you peel back the hood, I was looking at it, it was numbers aren't really that much better than average, really. But I can remember last year, we played him a few times. He had a couple good games last year, some bigger strikeout games. So, he's definitely going to be on the table today. Obviously, like playing against a Rocky team, which we've been chasing. So at that price, especially if you like a Yankees side today, you're going to have to probably go this route. Now, you look at guys like down here that, you might want to look at, I see Jason Turner here in the, chat saying Skeens and Mikolas, sneaky. Mikolas is one of them guys, I don't mind chasing against Pittsburgh, but, Pittsburgh would be, maybe you could mini stack just because they're cheap. But Mikolas is a guy that really don't have really the upside for me. I guess I'm not really interested
4.5 K prop minus 165 on the under.
Yeah, he's just I don't know. He's just really just a kind of a safe kind of play. I mean, I'd rather at that point probably maybe peel off and go to somebody else, like maybe Quantrill or somebody if you wanted to do that. I know that's kind of ballsy, but go look at what he's been actually pitching pretty well lately too. But, you know, JP Sears kind of fly ball pitcher, you know, you get a San Diego, you get, you know, kind of later tonight. I mean, you could kind of look at that if you want, but McGill is interesting. As you mentioned, we don't mind going against a Miami squad that does struggle a little bit, but man, for me, I think Thorpe, it's pretty obvious. Thorpe and Varland are the two plays down here. I think are going to get all the juice and steamed up here today, but I like both of them actually. Now I wouldn't play both together though. I'll tell you that right now. I wouldn't pair them both together. I think that's really risky, and you really probably could, you know, just peel off one big bat or two and not really take that risk and end up with, you know, somebody like Woo. I mean, it ain't going to take you much more to get from, you know, the other 1,200 to get up to Woo. So just, I wouldn't put the two of them in there together. I think it's a little risky.
Yeah, that makes sense. My favorite in this range is Tyler McGill. I mean, 7.3K is a favorite against a bad Marlins team. 5.5 K props, fine. Juice on the under a little bit, but yeah, like I think Varland's probably more expensive. McGill feels safe with some upside in this matchup. If I have to rank him, he's probably my Wheeler, Skeens, McGill is how I see it there. Then probably taking the shot on Thorpe. Seattle got cooking late yesterday, though. Rally the game-winning grand slam. Probably that's how I'd go it. And leave off Varland. I mean, Varland's fine. It's mainly just people are jamming him for price and matchup, though. And with 12 games, that's a lot of pitchers on the bump that can outscore him. So, yeah, I guess he'd probably be the guy I'd rather fade. Because Woo, Skeens, and Wheeler are all going to eat into each other at least some. Like, I do think it goes Skeens, Wheeler, Woo for ownership-wise, but they're going to eat into each other enough where it's not one mega chalk guy. I don't think Nicholas is going to steal enough from Varland. Vasquez might a little bit. I don't know. Any final thoughts, rankings, ownership-wise, before we move on to bats? Yeah, I mentioned Vasquez a little bit. Good matchup. It's a good price, kind of a pivot. That still might get some ownership, though. Any thoughts on Vasquez?
You know, Vasquez, to me, it's just at that point I'm just blindly throwing a dart to try to make a pivot. I just don't feel strongly enough about him. He hasn't really had any kind of games that I think are going to even put me in a position to win a tournament. You know, his game log, 10.8, 16.5, -7, 16. His highest game is 16.8. I mean, I don't think that's going to get it done for me. So I'm not really too much of a fan. He just doesn't have the upside for me. I get it. It's an Oakland team. But, man, it's just I think there's too many lower options here on the bottom that can – if he was like one of the only options, then, you know, maybe you could hope to get 15 or 20 out of him at best. But with Vasquez and with Varland – or not Vasquez, but with Varland and Thorpe down here today that I think are going to get some ownership. I think you could see both of them in the teens, maybe higher. Wouldn't you say that's probably right, Title? I think Varland's going to be in the 20s, maybe higher.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I think
I think – and if one of these guys has a game in the mid-20s, at that point, they're pretty much you had to have them.
Yeah. I did actually forget to say hi to people. I was so busy showing off those rankings, so much fun going on. I know, Gyiraszin, I know. Maybe it was just you yapping too long in the beginning.
That could have been too.
Bro,
I still got my coaster right here, guys. Just so you know.
Marquis, Cody, Gator Nation, Juice, Richie Smalls, Adam, K-Pad, Power, Nas the Great, William, hope everybody out there doing well. Jason Turner, Jake, Skeens, and Lizard Man is the combo. Yeah, I like it. We like Skeens. I think Lizardo's a solid pivot in that range as well. What's your final four if you have to rank all tiers, Gyiraszin? No, we'll move to bets.
I'm going to go Skeens 1, Wheeler 2, Woo 3, and my favorite of the bottom two, I would actually go Thorpe over Varland.
I like it. Buddy's Power made me laugh earlier. We were talking about Skeens just pitching. He goes, Skeens chick is bad too.
Dude, she is too. Like she's pretty hot too. I mean, I can't help it. I mean, I'm a sucker for some big old boobies. I'd like to know, did they ever find that Edmonton Oiler girl fan? Like, did they ever figure out?
No, I heard I saw on Twitter that like people are trying to, and like she had like, hey, leave her alone. But no,
I want to
don't
know
think
if
she
those are
came
real or
out.
fake. I told my buddies I think those ones were fake because I mean she was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'm
Who
for her
knows?
age they looked a little too like they. You
You're
could
right.
literally put an envelope on her two nips and it would
Yeah, you're
stand up.
probably
I was
right.
like, ooh, that's impressive.
You're probably right. All right, let's talk some hitters. 12 game. Appreciate the like button out there. Appreciate that subscribe button. And I appreciate you making me laugh, Gyiraszin. Let's
Hey, we gotta
talk
laugh.
hitters.
We all gotta laugh, especially in this fucked up, crazy world we live in.
You definitely have to laugh. Laughing is healthy. Yeah, they
Ooh,
found her.
Jason
Also,
said
she
they found her and they said she's fake. I see. I know my.
All right, let's talk some ball. Marlins, Mets, Jesus Luzardo, Tyler McGill. Yeah, there they are. Cody says it too. People on top of it. Yeah, you're right.
They're nice. They're very nice. Good job, Doc.
Luzardo, McGill, 7.5 total. Yeah, I got nothing. I don't like 7.5 totals. I think Luzardo's interesting. I think McGill's interesting. 2 pitchers on this slate that I like, so that means I definitely don't like bats.
Now, we got to back. I like Pete Alonso,
like
man.
Pete.
I think
Yeah,
he's
you
a
like
great
Pete.
one-off here today, man. That guy's been smashing some lefties. I think Title can't help. See, we start talking titties now, Title. We threw him off, everybody. We threw
I'm
him
good.
off.
I'm good. I'm listening to what you're saying.
threw
Dude, just like
him off.
definitely fit.
You threw me off. You start talking titties and Bush. I'm like a little kid. I can't fucking help it. But no, I think Alonso, you're right. I don't like too many bats, but Alonso stands out to me. That guy, I don't know why. My gut's like calling my name. Like I just might bet on him in a home run today. But I do like Alonso. I think he's in a really good spot.
Gyiraszin, we'll check that out later.
JD too. JD smashes the shit out of lefties. He's on my short list for lefty guys against lefties. So JD and Alonso, but I think Alonso goes deep today.
There you go. Pete Alonso, he's going to be super, super low owned. Next game, 7:10 Eastern. And there is no weather on this slate. I don't know if I mentioned it pre-show, but unless something crazy happens, I'll always be checking in with Roth and stuff, but looks like weather's good to go on this slate. Cleveland Guardians, Cincinnati Reds, Tristan McKenzie, Brent Suter / bullpen on the mound for the Reds. This is an interesting game. We like targeting Great American Small Park in the summer. It even plays smaller, 80 degrees, pretty humid in Cincy. Like lefties get to McKenzie, so it's clear as day. Friedel up top, Ellie De La Cruz, Candelario, Fraley, Benson's down there, Hurtsby. They threw a lot of lefties at McKenzie. I think Reds are interesting. And again, I think there's going to be multiple teams that get some ownership today, but it's going to be spread out enough where if you like something, just play it is how I see it today. Guardians against, I don't know. I don't like targeting bullpen games much. You don't like playing the Guardians too much, but you do like playing what against a lefty? It's going to be multiple righties and lefties in there. So I don't know. I'll let you talk about it. Reds lefties are interesting though.
Yeah, I mean McKenzie. I mean he's got a lower K rate to lefties, so Ellie Cruz obviously with his striker is shipping, but I think the fucking FedEx guy must be at my door or something. My damn dog is barking like a crazy. My dog.
We can't hear.
We can't hear. Good.
No.
Driving me crazy. So if I hit mute and yell "shut the fuck up," I might have to do that in a minute.
That's fine.
But either way, these Cincinnati bats are definitely interesting. McKenzie is a guy. He does give up a lot of fly balls. I mean, 40% pretty much to both sides of the plate. So this is a dangerous situation. You got a fly ball guy in a park that gives up the most home runs. I mean, it's pretty clear. So, I mean, but Ellie Cruz, man. How many bags is this guy going to steal this year? I mean, this guy, shit, that dude's something else, man.
Yes, he is.
He's definitely fun to watch. But, I really like the Cincinnati side here just because of the stolen base side up here. You can even go down. I like all the lefties preferably. So, even like a guy like Will Benson, who's going to be real cheap. That'll round out that stack for you. But, yeah, I definitely like the Reds. Like I said, fly ball pitcher and in the best home run park. I mean, decent hitting day. I mean, could definitely not work out well for them. So for me, I think the Reds are in my top 3 today, just looking at. But I'll tell you, man, you could literally probably go 15 offensive deep today and feel good about it. So I don't think you're really, whatever you like, I think, you can go for it today. But Reds for me. the stolen base upside is, something that I do like. But yeah, McKenzie, fly ball pitcher, park like that, sign me up. Especially lefties on my favorite side.
So pulling up the stack rankings right here, it likes a little game stack. Guardians, we have number 2, Reds number 5. And again, I wanted to show this off because it is a very tough hitting slate, very spread out. As you can see, 1 through 5, we have separated by like 3.5 points right there. Or 2 through 4 is pretty much identical. This is an interesting game stack, the Yankees game as well. But what are your thoughts on any of these Guardians? You're talking about running. You're talking about small ball. I like the weather in this game. And does Cincy's bullpen worry you, I guess, is the question. Because I think this could be a good game stack. Good park, good weather, humidity, McKenzie fly ball, a couple of randoms for the Reds coming out here. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, hey, you look at all the games, you got 9, total 9's the highest of the slate, and that's what we're looking at here. I mean, there's a couple games that are sitting at 9. So definitely don't mind that at all. I do prefer the red side a little bit more. And the reason being is the Reds going to get to play matchup the whole time with the Indians. So, I tend to not really care for that, especially on a 12-game slate. It's just not something that I really want to do here today. Now, obviously, Jose Ramirez thinks he's better than Bonds. So, he's got to step it up a little bit if he thinks that's the case. But I mean, they're, to me, like I said, man, they're so condensed as an offense. Like, for me, like Ramirez, Naylor, Fry, I mean, that's pretty much been it, really. That's been, really home run heavy. I mean, they'll put up 8, 10 runs, and yeah, you'll get some doubles and you might get some big numbers out of a guy, but just the home run. They're not like the Yankees where they're just hitting 3-run homers left and right. The Indians just play a little bit more smaller ball. Now, I used to never play them, as we all know. Like, I was like, fuck that. I'll never play the Indians. They're going to be at the bottom of slugging and everything else. Now, I moved them up a little bit, but I need them to be against a lefty. So we're going to get a bullpen game. I'm not really happy here with, the matchup thing going back and forth. So for me, I'm going to be out here. But, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to one-off any of these Indians. I think they're in decent spots if you really wanted to. But for me, like I said, I don't like the bullpen kind of thing. I think we have more opportunity. We got too many offense in good spots today for me to be playing a matchup game.
Yeah, that makes some sense. I like them a little more than you, mainly park weather. Quick touch on this. How often do you guys see a 4 or 5 man stack on the optimal? Every time I think it's a good 4 or 5 man stack, it doesn't work out. I don't have concrete numbers by any means. I would say you probably see it over 50%, but it's hard to read into that much because you also, more than 50% of people are now running 4 or 5 man stacks with their team. So the thing is, you have to think about it. Like, you're stacking 4 or 5 man, which means you're relying on one team. If that team doesn't do anything, which in baseball happens more times than not, it's really hard to, like, baseball is really hard. There's a lot of variance. You kind of have to think about it. Whereas NBA, you're not just relying on one team or like that. You know where the minutes are going. You know the usage. You blend it all together. Mike Trout goes 0 for 4 any single day. Barry Bonds can go 0 for 4. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I don't know how often it wins. I would say 4 or 5 man is more than 50%, but also I think that's because it is played more. 4 or 5 mans are played more than anything else. And that's because data has shown us over the years that has won more times than not. So let's get to
and I think, Title, just to go on what you said, I think it's gone over the time with DFS. Like, when I was playing when it first started, nobody ever stacked anything. And then it kind of became a thing. It went with the trend. Then the trend became stacking. Everybody was stacking. Then the trend became some one-offs. In Title, I'm kind of wondering now, like, I've been looking and I've been watching even some of the better players. To me right now, the trend seems to really be one stack, like one full stack, especially on FanDuel, 1 4-man stack. And then they're picking 4 one-offs they think are in decent spots. So it's kind of like a half cash, half kind of GPP team. Now, the odds of you hitting all 4 of those other guys on 4 different teams, just think about it. If one team hits 12 and you have 2 teams that hit the numbers, which really haven't been happening as in years past. So I think that's why the 4 and 5 man stack was winning more times than not because, you were hitting all those low end, the 6-7 hitters were hitting for you when now like you're getting a 0 or 2. And now what people are doing, instead of just playing the 24 or the cheap guy that fits in the stack, they're looking for a guy maybe with a little bit different matchup that they're playing instead of that stack. And they're like moving guys around. And those seem to be doing better because we haven't had the double-digit run games that we used to have. Now we're getting into the warmer months. I think that's going to start changing, Title. Like we mentioned, it's going to be 90 degrees here in Michigan next week. Yeah. So it's going to start getting warm all across the country. The ball's going to start flying a little bit more. So I don't want to get too sucked up and then have to reverse my course by thinking, I'm changing to the times. I think we're just kind of going through a little fad here. So I think right now, if you do study the tournaments and if you have been, good for you. That's what you should be doing. And I know that's what you're noticing because I look at it too. And it does make you think. But I've been looking at a lot of data for a lot of years, and I think the stacking is way better to go with now. I mean, we'll see. But I mean, it's just a sign of the times, but always pay attention to what's winning because 100%. I mean, you get to go back and see the poker hand, man, and see how it was played, how it was laid out, some other guys, what they did, like you'll see the 1-1-off guy that gets you the 50 points. And that's the guy that's winning on a stack. And they had that 1-1-off guy that jolts you so far ahead of your one-off guy, does something spectacular and he's a 5%er. Like, dude, you're dancing. But to answer that question, I don't think there's a right answer. I think like really over time, the right answer has been the stack because it limits the variance. But, in reality right now, when you're looking at the top of them tournaments, it's almost like a half cash, half GPP team, if you ask me.
Good. Yeah. Good breakdowns. You're always looking at that stuff. So that's very important. Like always. Last thing I just want to touch on that last game, because I do like this, Jake. I probably do like Guardians, Indians, whatever, as a 5-man more than a one-off or mini stacks probably because, hey, if they jump on Suter, whoever these couple guys are early, they're going to throw out their bad arms. Why waste your good arms if you're down 5-0? Then you can really get them in good hitting weather. Guaranteed ninth inning at bats too. So, yeah, I like that. I like it. Next game, Philadelphia Phillies, Boston Red Sox. Zach Wheeler, Cutter Crawford on the mound. 8 total, 70 degrees in Boston. I'm definitely not playing any Boston against Wheeler. Crawford, I don't know, like my favorite bats, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, 6K for Harper, 5.5K for Schwarber. If I spend up on this slate, more than likely it's probably in my 5-man stacks. Like if I'm playing Guardians, I'm playing Jose Ramirez probably. If I'm playing Reds, I'm probably playing Ellie. Yes, you can get different one-offing or mini stacking expensive players like this, but ownership will be spread out enough. Like that's something I'd probably be looking more in a short slate game theory stuff. So yeah, I don't really see myself getting to. You got to cross off some teams. Probably Philly for me. No Boston. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Boston at all. I mean, the leverage. I'm not even on a big game slate like this. I wouldn't even. I mean, Wheeler is going to be owned. I mean, the leverage. I don't even. That's not even worth.
Not worth it at all.
You might as well just mail me the money if you want to even think about going there. But
no,
the Phillies now.
You're gonna buy more coasters with Torkelson.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'll tell you though, there's a couple guys I've been, being a homer. Max Clark won on the Tigers. I've been going after. I've been buying up his stuff.
Torkelson Jr. Here we go.
Yeah, I hope not. This kid looks like freaking little Bryce Harper to me. I mean, just because he's lefty. Harper, I can't stand him because he's fucked me in a couple of live finals when I was stupid enough to play him. But only guy I would have took it down, Title. I don't know why I didn't. I was on a 1-versus-1 decision, and I went with him, and should have went JD, and I'm still mad. And it's been like 5 years. I'm still mad about it. I'm still Dean Hooper there. I told him I should have fucking did this, and I didn't listen to myself, and then I played it, and then
Hey, at least you're honest. That's DFS for you, man.
Yeah, but those are the ones that you remember. It's the one that keep you coming too. But I do think the matchup here with the Phillies is interesting. Cutter Crawford has not been good here recently at all. I mean, his fly ball percentage is pretty high to lefties. So I'm going to be looking at some lefties here for the Phillies. And I think Schwarber up here at the top, I think he's interesting. Harper's interesting. Stott's interesting. Dahl's interesting. I think all the lefties here against Crawford's interesting just because his last 4 or 5 starts have not been very good. I mean, we get a good park here. So I think that's interesting. I think you get the Phillies really low owned, and I think they're in a pretty good spot. I just Crawford hasn't been doing very well, and we can just attack somebody here in a low owned spot with a good offense and a great park with somebody who's been giving a lot of fly balls to lefties. I think it's something here you could definitely look at.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. It's just like I said, mainly for me, with so many games, like I don't see myself getting to 5-man Phillies really, and they're expensive as one-offs, but it'll make you different. Appreciate all 112 watching live. If you're watching on playback, appreciate you guys as well. Like button, subscribe button. You hear it every day. We appreciate it a ton. Bringing you shows almost every single day for free on this channel. And if you want to join us at the Nation, shout out to our guys Hoop. Shout out to Tambo advancing to the Fantasy Golf World Championship. FGWC 15 gets you 15% off. I believe this ends tonight. Do not waste time. 6-month annual. Big boy golf tournament this week. The Open we talked about. Massive prize pools. NBA Finals still going on. Huge prize pools. NHL Finals going on. MLB on the daily. MMA this week. NASCAR. FGWC 15% off monthly or annual packages. Next game on the slate, Rockies, Twins, Cal Quantrill, Louis Varland on the mound. 80 degrees in Minnesota. It's warm by y'all. Warm and humid out there in the Midwest. 8.5 total. Louis going to get a little ownership. So is there any Rockies you're looking at? Twins. Definitely not chalk Twins, but they're going to be one of the teams that people rotate with a solid team total today. You mentioned Cal Quantrill earlier in pitching that like if you had to have one pivot or dart throw, you throw out his name. So I assume no Twins for you, but break it down.
Well, Quantrill's been such a ground ball pitcher here that lately, I mean, he's been pitching pretty well too. We picked on him and it didn't work out for us. I mean, we were laughing at this clown here, recently. So, I just, mentioned his name as somebody, if you really wanted to get silly, you could do that. Now, the problem I have is, the Twins, obviously with Quantrill coming in, these lefties, the Larnax, and there's too much pinch hit risk. Like Kepler don't really get pinch hit. Willie Castro actually at the top of that lineup looks really good up there at the top, especially with all that position eligibility he has too. So I think the Twins are interesting. I think you could look at the Twins, like I said, more of a ground ball, the righties. He's like 50%.
Royce Lewis. Just play Royce Lewis.
Yeah, Royce Lewis, dude. That dude.
You should be buying his cards.
People forget about him, man. That guy,
he's buying his cards.
Rookie of the year. I mean, this dude's good, man. I think he's the one that you got to pay up for. So, but you get a lot of these other guys fairly cheap. So, but for me, I think this might be the same for me as the Indians. I think you could pluck off a couple one-offs here if you wanted to, maybe even many if you wanted to. I don't think I'd full stack the Twins here. But, this game did, too, get bet up. I like to look and see a lot of times, too, if over-unders have been bet up throughout the day. And this is one that actually got bet up from 8 to 8.5. So, that to be said. And the other side is the side that everybody's going to be playing the pitching on with Varland. So, Vegas is getting steamed up a little bit as far as the over. Everybody's going to be playing the other side. So, I think that is a spot that you could get some leverage if you did decide to go some Colorado bats, if you really wanted to. But, it's just, I don't know. I like Varland a little bit too much. This, Rocky lineup does stink. Varland is also more of a ground ball pitcher, especially to the right side. Last year, he was like 47%. His fly ball rate was higher to the left side. So if you wanted to go there, like you could maybe look at McMahon or Blackman. But it's just hard to click on all these Rockies, especially on a 12-game slate. But I think you could get some leverage if you were MMEing. I think Varland's going to be one of the higher owned pitchers today. But as I said, the game got bet up, the over. So, but I do like the Twin side a lot more. I can't even say I'd want to fully stack it, but I'm just afraid a little bit of that pinch hit risk here for the Twins. It's just annoying when you need Larnach at the end and all of a sudden they're pinch hitting them. And I really like this Twins team better when Buxton's hitting. When Buxton's hitting, these Twins are really good. But Buxton, he's got to get it together here. But, for me, Royce Lewis stands out. Everybody else, I think, would be some good one-off potential.
The Twins are getting healthier. When Buxton's hitting in the 7-hole, it's a different Twins team than we really have seen for a while. Royce Lewis been a stud. I don't know. Cal Quantrill keeps the ball on the ground, though. It is good hitting weather. The Twins make sense. I do like the Philly or the Reds Guardians game stack more, though. And I like both individual sides, I think, a little more. But, good hitting weather. Lineup looks good. Very affordable, too. You can go 5-man Twins with Skeens Wheeler. Like, yeah.
And I'll tell you, title two, I mean, you talk about the fly ball rates with Quantrill. I mean, you just look at it with righties. Royce Lewis has a 50% fly ball rate, and Kepler is next on the team with a 38%. Everybody else is below, right around 30, a little bit below 30%. So, I mean, you want Kepler. I think Kepler's in play. Royce Lewis definitely in play. But with a ground ball pitcher, you definitely want to look over and see if you can find some guys that hit more fly balls.
Yep. And I'll say, last thing on this game, I don't think Louis Varland will be owned enough because we do have 12 pitching, like a 12-game slate. Vasquez is in their tier. Mikolas, McGill, maybe he's 25%, 30. Like, let's just say he's 35%. I still don't even think playing the Rockies on this 12-game slate is enough. Like, they can easily go and put up 4 runs on Varland. So Varland's not optimal, but 4 runs from the Rockies isn't going to be enough too. So I think you'd rather just fade Varland than play Rockies and try and get the double leverage. Tolga, what's going on, man? Man, it is a massive slate, and absolutely playing single entry on slates like this is rough. It's really hard. We talked about a little in the beginning. Like, yeah, baseball, 5-man stacking. You pick one team of the 24. Yeah, it's hard to win. Math is mathing. Let's get to the next game. Pirates, Cardinals, Paul Skeens, Miles Mikolas, 80 degrees, 7.5 total. So yeah, the story of the day is it's hot in the Midwest. It's humid in the Midwest. So if you're trying to get away from a Skeens, maybe that's a reason. But yeah, I'm team Skeens over the Cardinals. Pirates against Mikolas. I don't really like it too much either. More of a fade for me. 7.5 total. What about you?
Yeah, as you mentioned, 7.5 total. I mean, these Pirates stack, if you wanted to go against Mikolas, you could. I mean, they're really cheap. O'Neal Cruz is way too cheap for that guy's talent. You could look at McReynolds if you want, Tellez. You could look at any of these guys really, but Mikolas just isn't a guy that just generally gets beat up really. I mean, he's like a boring. He's an okay pitcher in real life. He's not the greatest DFS pitcher, and he's not really a guy you want to pick on. So, I mean, he's boring, right? I mean, it's no fun. So, but yeah, he's the fun police so far pitching. But Skeens, I'm not going against that guy. I mean, no, thank you. I'm not even on a 12. I don't even care if this was like a 5-game slate and he was going to be 80% and you wanted to really get some leverage and go, I wouldn't even probably consider that. I mean, this, as I mentioned, not only because his girlfriend's hot and the dude throws some fucking Bugs Bunny fucking curveballs and shit at you on top of 101, on top of that shit. Like I said, he's Justin Verlander as a youngster. But, to me, I like watching him because that's what it totally reminds me of. I mean, when he went against the Dodgers, that's a lot of fun. It just sucks because I actually was telling a friend, like, man, it's Skeens. The Pirates aren't going to get in the playoffs. I ain't going to get to see that dude really pitch anything get good. Like, so we got to wait for his damn contract to be up so he goes somewhere worth a damn so that he can get himself in the playoffs. I want to see this dude. I want to see this dude mowing some dudes down in the playoffs.
What if it's like a Mike Trout situation for the career?
That's sad. Mike Trout. That's just sad. All the fuckers that collect baseball cards, we need some Mike Trout to get it moving because we all got a box full of that shit. Yeah. So we need to get it going. But either way, yeah, I can't play any bets. 12 games, too much stuff here. And if we keep talking about this shit, these shit games here, title, I might have another birthday coming up. We keep going.
Oh my God. It was the birthday. Plus 160 cash is 3 weeks after the birthday. Plus 160 cash is for the show. Yeah. Next game: Blue Jays, Brewers, Kikuchi, Carlos Rodriguez, 8.5 total. Hey, you're doing the blabbering. On the 12-game slate, I don't like this game, Gyiraszin. Pass.
Yep, 12-game slate. I'll pass too, even though I think the Brewers. You could look there, even though I like the Brewers way more against the righty. The Brewers generally suck against lefties, but I mean, you could pick on them if you want to, but I'm just not going there. No thanks.
Oh, okay, Juice.
Juice. You like the Brewers.
You'll get the Brewers definitely low owned. I'm on Team Kikuchi for a little upside as the pivot in between Wu and Skeens. But hey, if Kikuchi, we talk about it a lot. Kikuchi's one of those guys where you keep bringing Kenta Maeda. Kikuchi can get out there and get you 10 Ks, 6 scoreless, or he can go out there and get you 2 in a third, 7 runs and whatever, walk 6 guys and do absolutely nothing. So, hey, I don't hate it. at super, super low ownership. Not for me, though, on this 12-gamer.
Yeah, Kikuchi's a ground ball guy. I mean, Adames is pretty good hitting fly balls, and so is actually Gary Sanchez. So I would probably start with those guys. Obviously, Contreras is, somebody you always got to play for looking at the Brewers. That guy is so good. But Adames and Sanchez, I think don't leave Sanchez out if you're going to do a Brew Crew stack. I think he's somebody I'd make sure was in there.
There you go. Next game. I don't think you're passing on this one. New York Yankees, Turner. New York Yankees. We're past that conversation. No, we don't need Gyiraszin to answer him. He can put his answer in chat. Yankees, Royals, Marcus Stroman, Brady Singer. 9.5 total, Gyiraszin. 85 degrees in Kansas City. Humid, wind blowing out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, 2 really good offenses, 2 okay pitchers, but great hitting conditions. Yeah, you talked about Yankees earlier. I do think, I don't know, if you had to pick one team to be the highest combined ownership, do you think it is the Yankees today? Not that, again, it really matters. Play who you want to play, but yeah, I guess answer that question and break down this game.
Yeah, I think the Yankees may be the highest owned. I'm thinking they probably are going to be. I mean, the Reds might be up there too. I think the Reds are going to be pretty high owned too. So, but yeah, I mean, Yankees have every reason to be. They're obviously the best hitting team so far in baseball. As I've mentioned a few times, like, dude, them adding Soto and Verdugo just cut their freaking strikeouts down immensely. Now you got a team that's putting the ball in play. Go look at the numbers as far as stadiums goes. Kansas City is one of the top stadiums for runs scored in the last few years. So you're just sitting there thinking it's got great hitting conditions. Singer is just not a guy that I'm really afraid of, especially with his fly ball rate. He is a ground ball, more of a ground ball pitcher. He is more of a low fly ball rate. That's the only thing that does worry me. But you got guys like Aaron Judge, 38% fly ball rate, which I don't mind. Soto is pretty high. But Singer can get beat up. This Royal bullpen is not very good. I think you could see, where maybe this is a game here. The Yankees start out maybe want to get a few runs, could get a few runs off Singer in the first 4 or 5 innings. But how many times we've seen this year the big innings at the end, and that's what puts you over the top. So I could see the Yankees putting up some crooked numbers here at the end of this game and end up getting you over the top here. But I think the Yankees are really interesting. I think there's somebody that, I'm going to probably be looking at here. I like everybody up and down. Torres has finally been hitting the ball. You got Rizzo. As far as 2, you look at the strikeout rate. Singer's 6% less to the left side, 25% to right, 19% to left. So I do like guys like Soto and Verdugo here today. But, yeah, I think this is a spot here that is going to get a lot of ownership. But, man, for me, Yankees, they're just hitting so good. I mean, they're just tough, man, up and down. I think the Yankees are a pretty good play here, especially on a 12-game slate. But as we mentioned, they're expensive. If you play Yankees, you're pretty much going to be assured you're pretty good chance you're going to have old Louis Varland on your team.
There's enough pivots, though. Like, what about like a McGill Thorpe? With 5 Yankees.
Woo you could even do.
Or McGill Woo or something like that. So I do think there's other, and like if you like Mikolos or you like Quantrill or you like Vasquez, I do think there's enough pivots that like if you play the main Yankees 1 through 5, you can still find pitching and secondary stack on this slate. So I like it. Good breakdown. Next game, White Sox, Mariners, Drew Thorpe, Brian Woo. Definitely don't like these White Sox. They are cheeks, White Sox or Mariners side. I don't know, Cal Raleigh, the walk-off grand slam, that definitely costed me some cheese yesterday. White Sox bullpen's awful. Rookie making their debut. I think you can talk yourself into a very low-owned Mariners stack because – and I like it more as a 5-man. Thorpe just gets hit early, shit in his pants, multiple walks. Then you get this awful White Sox team White Sox bullpen like yesterday, and they can tee off on them. However, if Thorpe's good, well, you have no Mariners, and you're fine that way. So I think it's a 5-man or nothing for Mariners side for me. What about you? Or what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, if you're MME, I mean, you look at the reports on this Thorpe kid, he's been dominating in the minors. He's been doing really well. I mean, that's why he come up. He's priced 7,700. From what the deep down scouting report was, he really wasn't supposed to be a high strikeout pitcher. So they're kind of just calling him mid to average as far as strikeouts go. But he's been dominating. He's been pitching really well. So, you definitely could go there and consider. But we got a game here at 7, so it's kind of hard to pick any two teams in a 5-man stack in a game of 7, especially with 12 games on a bunch of offenses that we think we like. So, I mean, if I was, maybe 20 teams deep, I might maybe get there, but I just probably couldn't even see myself there. I think I'd just leave both sides alone on this one here, but I think I'd just pass.
Pass is fine. We got 4 games left on this slate. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out. 12 games. Big boy slate, Gyiraszin. You're doing great. And hey, anyone in YouTube chat, you know what? I'm interested in people's favorite stacks today. It's so spread out. Drop your favorite stack. Ownership doesn't matter. Your favorite 5-man, who is going to be on the winner tonight? Angels, Diamondbacks, Jose Suarez, Jordan Montgomery, 9 total in Arizona. Some of these D-backs against the lefty and Suarez, Christian Walker, Grichuk, Moreno, if he's out there, can always play Marte. I mean, pretty much. You're probably going to be throwing 8, maybe if Corbin Carroll's not in the lineup, could be all 9 righties. Like, yeah, I like these righties against Jose Suarez. Angels against Montgomery. I don't know. Taylor Ward, Pilar, Logan Ope, Joe Adell. 3 through 7 or 3 through 6, assuming that's how the order goes. I guess if there's like this Michael Stefanik dude, if he leads off again, he's mid-price 2K, second base, third base eligible, but he'll probably be over-owned just because people use him as like a last piece to make your lineup work. So I don't even like that much. Ward, Pilar, Ahope, Adele, I think are interesting. D-back side's good though.
Yeah, I mean, I love D-backs against a lefty. They're one of the best left-handed hitting teams in all of baseball. But you know what, man? Suarez is just such a high ground ball pitcher. He just does not let the ball get off the ground that much. The dude's ground ball rate is absolutely ridiculous. It's like in the 70% range, especially the lefties, especially the last month. So, just looking at recent times, the righties, he's at like 55%, 10% to lefties in the fly ball rate. And then, looking over, I mean, I do like the D-backs, like I said, usually against lefties. I just think this is not really the best matchup for them. Suarez has kind of got beat up a little bit. I'd like to see the fly ball rates a little bit higher from the right side of the plate from guys like Marte, who has a really low fly ball rate, 22%, and then Gurriel's got a 28, Walker 29. I'd like to see them a little higher, maybe in the 30%, in a matchup like this, really. So, I'm just I'm kind of out on that one. I'm not really sure that I'm going to go there. Like I say, even though if it wasn't such a high ground ball lean, man, I think Arizona would be one of my favorite stacks here today. But we got a game sitting here at 9, as we mentioned. There's 3 games at 9. Those are the highest totals, and I just can't find myself to like anything in here in this game. Maybe I'm overvaluing these ground balls too much by Suarez. I don't know, but to me, Vegas likes it a lot more than I do. I'm almost thinking I'd like the under in this game, to be honest with you. I think it's up a little too high. I think it should be an 8, but I mean, it's risky, I think, on that side for sure.
I agree with you. D-backs, though, I definitely like against Suarez. A couple Angels I see right here. Rockies, Angels, man. A 3-man. So he likes that as a secondary stack. I like it. I like Angels as a secondary stack as well. They stack. Texas will get there. The Mets, and when I saw Friars, he used to be on the Brewers. Mike Friars, pitcher, Brewers. Right, it was Mike, right? Mike Friars. You remember him? You remember Mike Friars?
I'm not a brew crew fan. I remember y'all's bullpen.
He was a starter. He was awful. Journeyman. He bounced around a couple places after Houston or something. Mike Friars. I don't know what. All right. Let's get to the next game. 3 games left. Oakland A's, San Diego Padres. Nothing better than hearing a random name that you haven't heard in a long time. JP Sears, Randy Vasquez on the mound. 65 degrees in San Diego. So this is where, like, JP Sears the lefty. Profar been hitting the ball well. Machado against the lefty. Tatis, obviously, he homered yesterday. But it's 65 degrees. Like, give me these earlier games where it's 80 degrees and humid a little bit than these West Coast games late at night today. So, yeah, I guess Padres are fine. They're going to get some ownership. I like a lot of those teams we talked about earlier, though. I got nothing really.
Yeah, I mean Sears is a high fly ball pitcher, so you could definitely look at some of these guys here for San Diego if you wanted to go there. I just don't like the park at all. I'm not really too big of a fan of that, but I'm not. Yeah, there's just no bats here for me, and I'm not a fan there. And real quick, Jason Turner, Olivia Dunn is only 21, and I got a rule: it's half your age plus 7, and you can't go below that. So it's half your age plus 7. I'm 52. That means 26 plus 7, 33. She's only 21. That's like a whole elementary or a whole school's curriculum underneath. She's way under. I can't go there. That's my daughter's age. I can't do that one. But the Edmonton girl now, she was definitely in her 30s. I can pretty much assure you that. So I'd have to go with the Edmonton girl, but just all remember when you get older. Half your
Astros, Giants, Ronel Blanco, Jordan Hicks, 65 degrees in San Fran. Man really said plus 7. This dude said plus 9. Is this what they taught you back in the day?
Aaron says half age plus 9. It's half your age plus 7 in my town.
You donkeys. That's what you get. That's what
you need to get out more. Tell him, Aaron. He needs to get out a little more. Maybe he'd hear shit.
I guess. Yeah. Astros, Giants. What do you got?
We got a game total 8 sitting here. I'm not really a fan here of going against Blanco, so I'm just easily crossing off the Giants. No thanks. Jordan Hicks now. I mean, he is another guy that's a ground ball pitcher. Looking at that, I mean, Bregman's been actually hitting a little bit better. I just think there's better spots here. I'm not a fan. I don't like the park here. I try to stay away from San Francisco. So yeah, definitely not doing that.
Last game, Gyiraszin. I don't like that game either. Again, these last games I don't really like much. I don't know. I guess this Dodgers one's going to get some ownership. 9 total. Rangers, Dodgers, Dane Dunning, James Paxton on the mound. It's really obvious with these guys. The splits. Dunning is way worse against lefties. He's tough on righties. Paxton's way worse on righties. He's tougher on lefties. You want to play some righties against Paxton? Semien, if Langford's in there, Adolis, Jonah Heim. Sure, I think they're fine. Someone else likes Texas. They're going to be low owned right there. Sports, maybe he gave out the winner today. I don't like it as much. Again, it's chillier. I like the earlier games more. Dodgers against Dunning. Yeah, the Otanis, Freddie Freemans. You can always play Mookie, like you say. Lux will probably be down there. Hayward. But some of those guys, if a righty or a lefty comes in, they're going to get pinch hit for. At the end of the day, I don't. Both these stacks fall down the list for me. Again, give me the earlier games, the Yankees, the Royals, the Reds, the Guardians, the Twins. Give me those teams over these later ones. What about you?
Yeah, I think this game's kind of interesting, really. I mean, just kind of looking at it. Dunning, as you mentioned, I'm not interested in any of the righties, but man, Shohei and Freeman, I mean, they're definitely interesting for me today. I think those guys could definitely be in play. I kind of like them more as like a mini if you wanted to go there, especially with the lefties. But, then you go to the other side here with the Texas in Paxton. Man, he's got more walks. I think he's got more walks to righties than he does strikeouts, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's walked more righties. But, I mean, are we going to win any tournaments with walks? I mean, we still need to get some home runs. So, I mean, it's just a tough spot. I think I'd like the Texas full stack if I was going to go there. If you want to get them low owned, they get that, the 9th inning at bat. You get Paxton. That Dodger bullpen isn't the greatest either. So, I could make an argument for the Rangers. I think that's interesting. But now the lefties on the other side there, I think Shohei and Freeman are in really, really good spots. It's just Shohei especially obviously is really expensive. So I think just going that way, I think Freeman's interesting.
Yeah, I like it. Again, I don't like this game too much, but of all 3 last games we talked about, yeah, Dodgers, Texas are better than Giants, Astros, Padres, A's for me. Yeah, I don't know. I guess Padres, Texas is close. In general, though, give me the earlier games, give me the warmer weather over those last 3. SHIPIT Nation has the best banter distracting you at work. You got to have fun in life, man. Gyiraszin is a good dude. He is a very funny guy. Laughing's healthy, so absolutely. Jeff, titles are an optimal window for NFL best ball drafts. I don't have data, concrete anything, so everything I'm saying is a guess. But if I had to guess, I think your best chance of taking first place in the largest field stuff is drafting earlier. We talked about it a little last week, but I think it's because you can get different combinations. ADP changes so fast, so you can get different combinations and beat injury news. Again, I mentioned last year or 2 years ago, 3 years, Cam Akers got hurt. Darrell Henderson, while he did have a bad year, went from like a 14th round pick to a 4th round pick because he came the starting running back. If you got him in the 14th round, you drafted then, you have such an advantage over people that have no shot to beat ADP later. Yes, it does come with dead teams. It's obviously a lot of work, etc. But I do think your best chance at first is probably beating ADP. But again, that's random guess. This year I'm drafting later. I'm also fine having more live bullets with less of an ADP gap, so you can argue it that way. Again, I don't have data, kind of just spitballing off the top of my head.
It's pretty much like sports betting. The longer it sits up on the board, the longer the easier it levels out and you lose your edge. So at the beginning, if you like bet, especially in football, if you like bets, man, when them lines come out and you like the underdog or like you got to just add, well, do I want more points? Like you got to jump on a lot of that stuff early. You'd be surprised how many times I bet over the years after getting that advice, a few years back, being around a lot of smart people. And you would bet on an NFL game on Tuesday, and then you'd win by a point or a half a point. And you'd be like, damn, if I wouldn't have bet on that, I wouldn't have won. And it could have been a $400 or $500 swing, And I mean, that makes your whole weekend by just, being on top of it. It does matter. These people are smart, man. These people that make these numbers, it amazes me, the NBA lines, like these guys, assist lines and
they ain't guys.
Line. That shit amazes me how they're so close, man. Even the over-unders in games, like how the fuck do they know by one possession? It's like
they're not guys. They're computers, programs, AI, every money, technology, millions of dollars they build it. That's who you're competing
against. They've been going on
though
for long before any of that, and they've been on. So it's like they just honed it in even better. That's why they're giving us all that info now. We never had all the info. Man, when I was younger, I used to go to 7-Eleven and get the gold sheet.
That's way before my
fuck, man. I used to write up there for my dad. He'd tell me, go buy me a pack of Marlboros and buy me that gold sheet, boy. And I'd have to go up there and I'd lose the $5 on the way up there to get his gold sheet or something, So but times have changed now, man. You can go all over the place. But yeah, hey, we got a good baseball slate here. I'm gonna get ready here, do our slate plan. But Title, I just want to know who's your low-owned crazy stack. I think I got one, and you give me one, and let's see where it goes.
Low-owned crazy stack. We'll go with the Angels.
You're going Angels? All right. I think I am going to go with your Brew Crew against Kikuchi.
There we go.
And I don't generally like going against the lefties. I just think something's calling my name over there, the Brew Crew.
I like it. There we go. The good time. Michael will like that as well. Here we go. Pittsburgh, King of Smack said. Padres, Izzy said. Hey, perfect time, Jeff. You asked me about drafters, your withdrawings you like to draft now. There is no better site to draft than drafters.com. It's overlaid the past 2 years. We don't promise any overlay. It has a unique structure, though, where it's cumulative scoring instead of playoffs meaning so much. So if you have the best team all year, you get paid like you have the best team. You don't run into more randomness. I did last year a video early July. If you go to our YouTube and go to Best Ball, the first video I did was like 15 minutes talking about how I won drafters, my strategy. Shout out the man Go Collect. He won the $3 one last year. No better offer right here. Up to $100 if you go to drafters.com, you don't have an account yet. Deposit $100, use the promo code SHIPIT. They will give you $100. $15 contest, $500,000 to first place. Absolutely insane. $2 contest there as well, like 60,000 people in that. Head over to drafters.com. We will have rankings. We will also start doing the shows early July. It's either going to be me, it's going to be me and Big Marley. Maybe I'll bring on one of you guys out there. Go Collect. If you have interest when we get there, if I do need someone to come on, maybe I'll ask you to jump on. We'll do some live drafts. We'll have rankings. We have a section in Discord as well. So head over to Drafters, use that promo code SHIPIT. And if you want to join us at the Nation, FGWC15 gets you 15% off monthly or annual packages. And I believe that ends tonight. So get in now. Get in the Discord. Everybody out there, have a great night. Be safe. Final thoughts, Gyiraszin.
Man, great slate here. A lot of fun. Can't wait. Guess what? We're going to start building us some PGA lineups. We're going to have us some fun. We got 2 of our boys in the final, so we're going to root them on, obviously. But, man, fun slate here tonight. Hopefully we start getting into baseball, we get some run score, because I'm getting tired of these little shitty slates, as we were talking about, not stacking all them kind of teams. We got to get back to these big numbers games here, 10s, 12s. There used to be 4 or 5 of them every night. We haven't seen that in a while. So hopefully we get there here, Title. But, man, a lot of fun, as always, doing the show. Love interacting with everybody, like making you guys laugh. So, but, hey, let's win us some money here tonight. Get us some PGA money so we can get us some hey, maybe one of us will ship to Millie, and then we can have 2 Millie winners. We'll have the live final winner, and then we're going to have the winner on the main one. We've done that before. We can do it again, so I'm not scared. We can call that out.
Let's do it. Talk it into existence. Manifestation. Good stuff, Gyiraszin. Appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate the laughs. Appreciate everyone else out there. Like button, subscribe on the way out. Enjoy your night. Be safe. For Gyiraszin, I'm Titletown. Peace.